pleasure to introduce to the 2013 National Scout Jamboree, Gill Clay. And Gill is the granddaughter of the founder of Scouting, Lord Baden-Powell himself. Hi, Gill, and welcome to the National Scout Jamboree.
Thank you, Ed.
Oh, Gill, it's our pleasure to have you here. And you know, all these people, they believe in a program called Scouting. And it all started because your grandfather had a vision to bring a program that youth would learn from and would be able to grow and develop and become better citizens, become better young men.
That's true. And we can all have brilliant ideas, but we very often don't follow them up, do we? But he did. He went with his idea, and it worked. And it was probably very hard work in the beginning, building it all up and going with the young people who just took the idea and ran with it. And he just had to support them.
Once again, for everybody that's just coming over this way, we're talking with Gill, and Gill Clay is the granddaughter of Lord Baden-Powell himself, the founder of Scouting. Now, Gill, you grew up in Africa, the country of Zambia?
I did, yes. My father was in the colonial service, and we lived in Africa, in Zambia, and moved around in Zambia. Lived in many of the places there, both in the towns and also out in what we called out in the bush. Before I was 7, our nearest neighbours were French missionaries 60 miles away, and of course the wonderful African people that we lived among. But I was 4 before I met a little girl of 4 who looked and spoke like me.
You know, it's got to be a lot of responsibility being the granddaughter of Lord Baden-Powell. You've represented the family and your grandfather all over the world. You've been to world jamborees everywhere.
Well, I've been to the World Jamboree that celebrated the centenary of Scouting in the UK. Hands up if you were there.
Did we have anybody that attended the World Jamboree that celebrated the centennial? We got one over here.
And that was in the UK, and that was absolutely brilliant. And then I came to the centennial in 2010 in Houston, and that was fantastic. And I had a ball there. And now, of course, there's this absolutely amazing and awesome place where I've been having the greatest fun, and zip lining and leap of faith and climbing the boulder wall and rappelling. We call it abseiling in the UK. And I've been having the most amazing time and meeting lots of very interesting people. So, and I also went to Hungary and to a memory camp in Hungary, which was very fascinating. Yes.
Gill, I want everybody to know that you're camping here at the Jamboree. She's not going to some fancy hotel. She's sitting right here and camping at our facility, the Bechtel Reserve. She's taking ambient showers just like each and every one of us, right?
Well, absolutely. Well, it's excellent. No, I do quite a bit of sleeping on hard floors in our scout hall with our Beaver Scouts, and in camp at Gilwell Park in UK. Hands up if they've been to Gilwell Park, the International Training Centre in the UK. So, yeah, I love camping. Hands up if you enjoy camping. Yay! Yay! Yes, how would I not camp if I had the chance to when I came here?
Such a beautiful facility, as you say. You know, you look around, you see this sea of humanity down here, all the color. These are boys that believe in the program that your grandfather started.
Yes. I'm in awe of what he did, just as you are, and think it's just marvelous scouting all over the world. How there are, well, scouting has doubled in size since I started being a leader in my son's Cub Scout pack. He said, I'm fed up with all these girls, brownies and guides. Can't you do something with the boys? So I became a Cub Scout leader. And there were then, I remembered it easily because there were 16 million in 160 countries. And now there are, well, I thought it was 32 million, but since I've been here, I've learned it's 35 million around the world in every country except 5. And I thought there was one of the 5 countries must be Libya, but I was totally wrong. When all the services failed in Libya, guess who took over all the services? The Libyan Scouts. You're quite right, yes. The Libyan Scouts took over and they directed traffic. Can you imagine your Scouts directing traffic? And more gruesomely, they dug the graves and buried the bodies. And when I read about that, I was just so proud of the Scouts. When I was telling someone, they said, yes, wherever there's a disaster, the Scouts take control and help people through it.
You know, you see people in uniform, and we think about the military so often. We do forget about there's a non-military aspect of it, and that is scouting. And we train leaders. You know, you look around the world at the leaders, it doesn't matter what country, scouting's a big part of that.
You're so right. And so I'm very proud to be part of Scouting, thrilled to bits to be here, to join your wonderful adventure here. And I think the people who set this place up are just absolutely incredible. What they've achieved in 3 years is astounding. Should we give them a clap?
Thank you so much. You're right. It is astounding. The people in West Virginia and scouting, all the contractors, everybody that had a vision. And you know, we just didn't build this place which was any old contractor. We built it with a contractor that's a scouter, so he knew what he needed to do.
Excellent. Well done, you. That was wonderful.
Once again, we're talking with Gill Clay, and Gill is the granddaughter of Lord Baden-Powell himself. And if you're not listening, then you're missing a real treat over here, because this lady is absolutely marvelous. Backstage, you were telling me that you have some brothers and sisters?
I always wanted a sister, but so when my 3rd brother was born and they said, are you very disappointed? I said, well, I'm getting a little tired of this row of dingy little brothers. And little did I know how much fun I'd be having with scouting later on, and that boys actually were a very good thing, and girls too.
And they have now children that are, you told me, Beaver Scouts, and Beaver Scouts are basically the equivalent of Tiger Cubs.
Yes, that's right. 2 of my brothers' grandsons have just joined Beaver Scouts. So one of my grandsons was a scout, and 2 of my granddaughters brownies, and some of my brother's children have done incredible things. One of my nieces has been a Queen's Scout and a Queen's Guide, using different aspects for each of her tests. So they've done very well, and one of them, Adam, has come over to live in Nova Scotia, where his wife comes from. So I have a brother in Namibia, a brother in Australia, a nephew in Nova Scotia, lots of us in the UK, some in Scotland, us in Wales. So we like the little acorn of scouting that grew into the huge oak tree and spread around the world. Well, our family's grown a bit and spread around the world as well, and lots of us involved in the joy of scouting and guiding.
I would have to think that your grandfather would be extremely proud of where this program has gone, you know, around the world easily, as you say. And what do you think he would say today if he were alive? What, you know, after starting it and seeing it grow for this, as you say, the acorn, and become what it is today, what do you think his message would still be today?
Well, he spent half his life as a soldier, and he saw what a terrible thing fighting can be. And his dream was, through scouting, to spread peace around the world. And here are you people as peace messengers doing just that. And I think he'd be terribly proud of that aspect of the program and every other aspect. He grew up as a child. He didn't have a father. He died when he was very young, but he had big brothers who took him on incredible adventures and make your hair curl to think what they were doing when he was about 11, scout age. And so he knew what a terrific thing it is to have adventures when you're growing up. And I think he would be so pleased and thrilled with all the adventures everyone's having in scouting today, and particularly here. My word, he'd be proud of this place.
What advice do you think Baden-Powell would have for scouts today?
I don't know. The advice that he would give today, just carry on scouting and spread it to as many people as you can, and just make sure that it really and truly is fun, because that's so important. What I would like to say is, I think he would still say, live by the promise, the Scout promise and the Scout law, and you can't go very far wrong.
Do you have any particular stories you'd like to share of growing up or of Lord Baden-Powell's?
Well, I was put on his lap when I was a very little girl and ordered to remember him, and very sadly I don't. But my mother was born when her father was 60, but she never remembered him as old. He had a tremendous sense of humour, but not only that, of the ridiculous, and he was mischievous, and he'd play tricks on people. And when you go through a door and you nearly bang your head, and he pretended to do that to get my grandmother fussed about him. And he'd try to start telling stories at the table, and that my grandmother didn't approve of. She'd say, no, darling, not here, not here. Not now, not now. But he'd carry on regardless. And no, he was great fun. My mother kept saying how funny he was, what fun he was to live with, but also what a very humble man he was. There are people who think that he was a bit of a show-off, and, well, maybe he showed off in mischievous ways and having fun. But some people thought he was a bit of an attention seeker, but my mother only remembered him as being really a very humble man.
Well, Jill, I think we're about out of time, because, like I said, they're going to crank those big old speakers up. But all this applause out here, every bit of this applause is for Jill, the granddaughter of Lord Baden-Powell.